Welcome to Black Belt Selling with Stephanie and Anna Scheller. I'm Anna.
And I'm Stephanie.
We are a mother-daughter team who are passionate about helping you grow your business through sales training and coaching. Now, Black Belt Selling is not just about meeting your goals. It's not about hoping you make your goals. Black Belt Selling is about smashing through those goals so that you not only accomplish what you want, but more so. And in the process, you become a better salesperson and, even more important, a better person. You can find out more about us by joining us in our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Black Belt Selling. There we post motivational quotes, we post blog posts, anything that's going to help you on your journey. But most importantly, we're going to let you know when these shows are going live. So go to facebook.com/groups/Black Belt Selling. And Stephanie, you know, I have to tell you, I met Elaine, our guest today, through, of course, our mutual friend, Sam Kelly, out of Ireland. And I think, Elaine, were we on like a crowdcast? Was that like the first time we met each other?
We were.
And this woman is full of knowledge. She's full of wisdom. She's so smart. And I just thought, you know, this is the kind of person that I want to hang out with. And it turns out, for those of our listening audience who are in Ireland, that they're going to get to see the dynamic duo in Ireland. Me and Elaine are going to be at the Women's Inspire in Dublin in, a little over 5 weeks. Yes. We're going to be hanging around with the Tweeting Goddess and doing some fun Irish things. So I'm looking forward to that. But, you know, most importantly, Elaine has become a good friend. And so, Elaine, welcome to Black Belt Selling.
Thank you so much for having me. And one thing your mom did not mention is we have the same birthday.
Oh, yes, we do. We do.
So if you know anything about, I'm not really into astrology, but my family says they're not either, but they say I'm a difficult handful because I so love life. So we're going to really tear up the town when we hit Dublin.
That's right. That's right. We're going to have a great time.
Absolutely. Oh, Dublin, hold your pants. They're coming. You clearly are going to scare the pants off of everyone over there.
Good shout out to the Hairy Lemon. The Hairy Lemon is a great pub, and we'll be going to the Hairy Lemon.
We'll be definitely going to the
So you know you need to watch out.
That's right. That's right. Well, let me share a little bit about Elaine. One of the things I really enjoy about Elaine is that she is an early adopter and a lifetime learner. And she is a trainer, strategist, speaker. You've studied web development, SEO, social media, and video. And we're going to talk about how you got into all of those things, but you really did it because you wanted to give people the very best there was out there to help them grow their businesses.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's an odd story because I got started because my original career path was interior design. Oh. But, through happenstance, I became less than able to do a lot of stairs. And by the 90s, knew that I had to find something different. And I had started in the late 80s. I got myself a computer and worked in our business with this little computer and really enjoyed that part of it. So in the 90s, late 90s, I ended up designing a website for someone because it meant I didn't have to walk up and down stairs anymore, but it still got to be creative. The only thing was, right away, it wasn't even a month after I made this first website for a regional counselor here in Canada, I thought, you know what, this website's really lovely, but if people don't know how to find it, what good is it? And that led me on a search for SEO. Didn't know that's what it was then. I don't think anybody did in 2000. But by 2002, I was following people like Brad Callen and really started to understand that if you optimized everything you did, you could make sure that people could find you. And by the time Google hit the scene, it was like, manna from heaven. Here's a search engine that's only mission is to make the most relevant, best quality information findable for each and every user. So for me, that was just, that goes together. And I, as you said, I did web development, I did SEO, and then in the mid 2000s, someone invited me to LinkedIn. And, as I've told your mom, I did not go to university. I was crushed between 3 cars when I was 20. And that kind of put paid to doing business in a normal way. I'm kind of like, they used to call them weebles. I think Fisher Price, remember the weebles? Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. Well, I'm kind of like a weeble. So I was finding ways around stuff. And LinkedIn, I thought, well, no point in me being there. This is all people with university degrees, and that's not me. And then in February of 2007, Facebook opened to people other than college kids, and I found I could stalk my adult children.
Woo!
Awesome! I was starting to annoy them because I would always phone if there was, they didn't live in my town. If there was an accident or something happened, I'd always call to make sure they were okay. And, that gets old, I guess. But within about 6 weeks, I saw that this was going to be very useful for one of my web clients. There was a way to use this for marketing. And I ended up with more friends than both my kids. And took it from there so that I could show my clients how to build relationships. Because for me, that's what it's always been about. Is, when you work with a client, whatever you're doing, you're building a relationship with that other person. Because, you guys get it. Black belt sales says it all to me. Selling is what each and every one of us does every single day. Our children, our spouses, our neighbors, whenever you have an interaction, you're selling, whether it's your idea or your product or your service, there's always a sales element there.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that relationship thing made sense. And I tend to want to be the best. If I'm going to do it, I want to do it the best I can. Right. So 2009, people started saying, you should do social media. And I said, well, don't be ridiculous. That's not a job. I'm playing. I'm having fun. And then I found out that, guess what? It was a job. And I decided that I would find out where was the best place to go. And I went to the Relationship Marketing Institute and mentored with Mari Smith for 3 years, and decided that, we're just going to take this as far as it'll go. And the moment Google Plus opened, I got in there and have been doing video and stuff ever since 2011.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a journey.
It is, and it's always fun to me to hear how people kind of evolve. You move it, and that really is a sign of a strong company, because a lot of times the companies that end up going out of business, that end up struggling, are the ones who don't, that are like, no, we are web developers and we do not. Right now, there's something for the companies who know what they do and do that, but at the same time, that web developer who only does web developing still has to accommodate the fact that social media is a big part of it now.
Well, yes, you are so right. And that's what led me to here. Because you see, for me, the minute that Google dove into Google Plus, this was not their first foray into social media, by the way. Right. There was a bunch of them, Orkut and other things. But this was such a whole jump in. They dove in and they brought in Hangouts. And for me, it was, okay, they just bought YouTube, which was the second largest search engine. They're number one. That says to me that social media, your website, and everything else is going to be integrated.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that just made sense, because back in 2011, you had one company doing your web development, you had somebody else doing the SEO, you had somebody else that might be doing your social, and
Mm-hmm.
somebody else if you wanted to do video. And nobody
Right.
was talking to anybody else.
Right.
So,
Well, the funny thing is there's still a lot of people doing that, which is a big problem.
yeah, and none of the pieces work together. And the other thing, if I'm being honest, and my team will tell you, I have the attention span of a gnat. So I have to be allowed to pull in the creative piece and pull in other pieces so that I can maintain my focus and my energy. I didn't just give up those things. I was able to channel them into pieces that we need. Because I don't like giving up stuff. And especially when the creative is that's my calming place, if you will. That's when I want to, downtime, I'll go off and create something. That's my kind of thing. But, it's an interesting field. And you did say, I am a lifetime learner. So this is a really good place for me because, oh my God, every 2 weeks there's something new.
Which is the joy of SEO, because that's, I'm curious. I mean, it sounds like apart from the situation that you went through that drove you into Troll, and we need to make it really, really clear. This is not troll. This is not troll. Troll is a bad word. It's pretty close to being a 4-letter word. She's not a troll. No. How did you come up with the name Troll?
Well, actually, that's a really good point. And the fact is, Troll is an acronym for the rest of our lives. And it's what we named our home. And that was back in 1992. So when I decided to go sort of farther with the business, it was Trool Productions and has morphed into Trool Social Media. So I can honestly say that we had Trool long before there were online trolls. And funny enough, there is a Lake Trool in Scotland. And we didn't find that out till after we had gone online with it, which was kind of interesting. But it's, sometimes it's challenging. It can be very challenging. And, some days you just have to put your head down and plow through.
Now, you had mentioned something. I know this is going to be kind of a bunny trail, but I'm super curious about this. I have heard so many people argue that Google Plus is dead and it's not really useful for anything other than SEO, but you brought it up twice. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, Google Plus as we knew it, our wonderful space, is not the vibrant home it once was, but it is not dead. And yes, it's very good for SEO. More to the point, Google My Business, okay, for anybody that doesn't have a Google My Business page. If you have a bricks and mortar business or you service an area, you need to have a Google My Business page. It is free. It gives you a place to put video. It gives you a place to put photos. And as of last month, it gives you a place to post things like events, specials, anything you've got coming up. It's phenomenal.
Wow.
And it's an adjunct to Google Plus. Having a Google Plus page, yes, for any business, it will help you in search because it too gets indexed. It's not necessarily the first thing to get indexed, and I'll tell you, funny enough, what is LinkedIn.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. LinkedIn, I will tell people it's not, I want you to look at social media as a couple of different balls. Okay. Social media, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram, all of those. That's one ball that is really social. It's about the interaction. It's about growing relationships, and you can do a lot of business there. LinkedIn is the only professional business social network that's out there. And everything you do on LinkedIn is indexed. They have their own setup for search, which is phenomenal. But you can now take your links from your post in LinkedIn and put them elsewhere, which gives you the value because they're already being searched. Okay, so you're actually helping yourself when you post in LinkedIn. It's a different beast than social. It's not about, we used to say it's not about what you ate for lunch or what have you. Yeah. Sometimes growing a relationship with people is about what they had for lunch. That could be something that matters to some people. So, a relationship, your mom and I talk about all kinds of different things. You and I will probably talk about other things. I have friends I talk about horses with, and I have friends that I talk about racing cars, which probably sounds a little bizarre for some older woman. But yeah, into all kinds of weird stuff. But the fact is, those social networks are where you can have that whole relationship. LinkedIn, you still have to be a whole person. You have to have other interests, but it's got a much more business bent. And Google Plus, Google My Business, that is something on its own because it ties to YouTube. And it doesn't matter who you are, but if you do a video, I guarantee you it's going to get seen first and most because you're allowing people to be able to activate all their senses. Back in the day, Vic, who was in charge of Google Plus, said the only thing we didn't have with Hangouts was smell-o-vision. We had everything else because you can see whether someone's being real with you. Yeah. You can feel through their body language. Are they happy? Are they sad? You can hear what they're saying, and it all sort of comes together. You can't really touch people, but virtually, it is a phenomenal space. These video, well, your mom will tell you, I'll stop talking about video because we could be here for 3 hours. Video has given a voice to people with autism. It's done all kinds of amazing things for people that couldn't necessarily spend time in a crowded room or in a great big arena. But through video, they can participate just as much as anyone else.
Video is a very powerful medium. And I know we could just talk about that. So we'll definitely have to get you back to talk about that.
But it is social. Video's social. Like it's all that, all that wonderful ball goes together. And I know I'm not really passionate about what I do, but yeah.
We're having a hard time staying with you here, Elaine. It's really, yeah.
I know.
Well, Stephanie, I could continue to ask. I have a ton of questions for her, but, I want to get down to some of the brass tacks about what key fundamentals people need to succeed in social media. And I'll be honest with you, SEO, it might as well be a 4-letter word for me some days. I don't get it. I pay other people because I don't get it. So, Stephanie, did you want to jump in and ask a question, or did I just ask the question?
No, I'm always curious to hear this because I feel like it's a huge key that gets missed by a lot of people. They either decide I'm not doing anything or, and actually one thing I would be interested in hearing, Elaine, is how would you recommend someone go about hiring someone? Because if it's not your forte, my recommendation is you don't do it. And I've seen a lot of people get screwed over hiring the wrong person to do their social media. In fact, I've had it happen a couple times where I hired someone to help me out and, I went back and looked at it and I was just like, wow, this person talked a good game, but there was no substance. So what recommendations do you have as a social media marketer?
Okay. So for social media, for SEO, or for both?
Both.
Okay, good. Because the first thing that I say to people now is get out of the thought that SEO and social media and your website and your blog are all different things. They're not.
Yeah.
Okay? And when you're looking for someone to do social media or someone to do your SEO, they have to understand that your digital presence needs to be integrated in order to help you with social proof, in order to make sure that you're visible in search. Because let's face it, okay, all of this, I don't care whether it's social, your website, your blog, your video, whatever the hell you're doing, it has to be about getting found. That's the point for business.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're out in the wilderness and you have the very best widgets in the world and nobody knows who you are, well, they're redundant because nobody's getting to use them, see them, or have anything to do with them. So for me, that's the piece. And what people do is they complicate SEO and they complicate social so much. I'm going to make it super simple, okay? Social media is simply about building a relationship and engaging with that other person. Because a couple of things, people don't do business with business. They do business with people. I don't care how big the company is. You deal with a person and you will go out of your way to deal with someone that you have a good relationship with. So for me, that's really it. Like if you go back 13th, 14th century, even before that, think about when we lived in villages, okay? We had small villages and you might have, I always use the example of like the farrier, the guy who shoed your horses. So there was a farrier at one end of the village and there was a new one came at the other end of the village. So you'd always taken your horse to this one, but he was a bit surly. He didn't like your kids hanging around. And your horse always came back a little nervous once he'd been shod. You decided one time to try the guy at the other end. And wow, lo and behold, the horse was whinnying when you came back. Your kids were playing with the horses, and the farrier was happily doing his work. Who are you going to go back to? More to the point, back then, okay, we didn't have cell phones or what have you, but it was, excuse me, neighbor, you know, who do you take your horse to now? I see there's a new farrier. Well, we definitely want to go to him, because he's better. Now, whether it's the baker, you know, the butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker, those that take the time to interact with you in a good way are going to garner your loyalty. So skip it ahead, however many centuries, nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed are the devices that we use to do the exact same thing. And more, millennials are kind of cool because millennials, they have brought us back to that referral network that we all used to have. You didn't just go buy stuff. You asked your neighbor. You asked your best friend. You asked that group of girls you chummed around with, ooh, what do you think? Where should I go get my hair cut? Or where's a good place now to get my nails done? Or one of those things. And that's all being social is. People have complicated it so much that everybody, oh yeah, what's the ROI? And let's look at the metrics. Just be real. Just interact with people in a way that, you know, you actually want to talk to people. And quite frankly, everybody has some skill that you don't necessarily have. So there is no one that is so boring that you can't find something interesting about them. So for me, building relationships, I say I'm the second most curious person on the planet, because I know the first one's in Texas, right? Everything's bigger and better in Texas. So I figured I wouldn't argue with that. And now that I've met Anna, anyway. SEO piece of this, just to continue with this kind of like making it simple. SEO is simply about turning up each and everything you do so that you're wringing every bit of juice out of it that you can get. And what I mean by that, I did a webinar for the women's group in Ireland talking about rocking your images. This is something people don't think about, but the images that are on your website, the images that come out of your camera that you put on social media, you can name those images. They don't have to be DCIM-12397 blah, 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 blah. Okay, everything that you do should have your stamp on it. That's part of branding. So if you used a file naming structure for your images and your files and your PDFs and your video, and you make sure that you're using the appropriate keyword phrasing that makes sense for you, then when somebody looks up Google Images and they get that lovely picture of your latest rose bush or whatever, that rose bush will be black belt selling .red.rose.bush. Because it needs to tie back to you.
Mm-hmm.
So see, it's really simple, and you just extend that to all your pieces. The whole thing about SEO, okay, Google, we all say Google because Google's the biggest one.
Right.
There is Bing, there is Alexa, and there is a Yandex index that's out there that people tend to look for. People still use things like Dogpile and other little search engines. The bottom line is this, though. The mission is to return for the user the most relevant quality information related to what they've asked. And the coolest part, in 2012, semantic search became how Google was setting up search. What does that mean? That means that it's now contextual. They're using AI, they're using machine learning and artificial intelligence for the bots that look at search. There are more than 200 pieces to the algorithm that are all calculated in whether or not you get seen. And all those pieces go together to basically look at the entire context. If you put up something on Black Belt Selling and you talk about sales funnels and lead generation and cold calling and all of the pieces that relate to selling, then that is going to get a good score because all of it relates to what you do.
Right.
Okay. Every page on a website should have a singular keyword phrase that you want to rank for. And what's cool about semantic search, it will take into account synonyms and phrasing that is close and means the same thing. So no more keyword stuffing. Don't put it in there 500 times and, spell it all incorrectly. And something that people do and don't even think about. On your website, okay, you have a blog, and when you use permalinks, do you know what permalinks are?
Mm-hmm.
I don't, but that's okay, because we're actually getting really close on time. So
oh, sorry. Okay.
No, that's okay. That's why we have to bring you back, Elaine. I was like thinking, okay, this is really interesting, and then I looked at the clock, going,
"Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so."
Why do you? No, I don't apologize
I never stopped talking.
we get along so well, Stephanie.
Yeah, we can do permalinks another time. My point was just going to be just a little tip for your blog. Don't list your permalinks by month and date. Nobody's going to look up the month. They want the name. They want the title of your blog post. So stop doing that. Okay? Make it a title that people can search for. Make it interesting. so that they're going to want to search.
So,
and I'll stop talking.
I was just gonna say, I mean, it sounds like it still comes back a lot. I mean, there's tricks and tips and little things you can do, but it still sounds like it comes a lot back to putting out good quality content, which is what it's always come down to. And,
Yes.
you know, if you can't do it, get somebody to help you out who can. And let's be honest, we're not all content creators. So if it's not your strength.
I'm the worst. Honest to God, I am the worst. If I could make it short form, I would. I am the worst for cutting things down. Because I talk so much, I guess I don't like to write so much because that would stop me talking. The bottom line really is, if you write for your user, make it the best, easiest experience for the user. The rest will kind of take care of itself.
Yeah.
You know?
So what's your number one final best piece of advice for, or any last words you have for our listeners that could help them out in your realm of expertise?
Last word, the biggest thing you can do to change how you're seen online is to keep branding uppermost in your mind. So that file naming convention, honest to God, the first and last thing you should do. The one little thing I will say about that, just use a dash between words. Don't use the underscore. That's an old style. Matt Cutts said a couple of years ago, the dash is fine. The reason for that, bots talk in ones and zeros. They don't understand empty space. So don't leave holes between your words, put dashes between the words, and then it makes it easier for everybody.
Okay, cool. Well, and I listened to this advice, so everything we do on Black Belt Selling now, all of the images, when we put our stuff up on YouTube, everything is black-belt-selling. So, I've listened to Elaine, and I've started to put this into practice. Now, Elaine, what is the best way for somebody to get in touch with you who said, I know there's so much more for me to learn? What can they do to get in touch with you?
Well, Google Elaine Lindsay or Google Truel Social, because I guarantee you're going to find me. If you don't, then I'd be really crappy at my job.
You know what? That's a great way to put that one. I always tell people, I'm like, look, you should be your greatest success story. If you can't look at yourself, right? You know, like I've got friends who do social media marketing and their social media is in disarray, or do a website design and their website looks like it's from the 80s. And I'm like, okay, come on. You can't do this. You can't sit here and be like, I'll build you a great website. Don't look at mine.
Oh, one last bonus tip.
Okay.
Don't search for yourself in the browser you use every day. Use an incognito browser so it's not attached to you, and you're going to get more truthful results.
Nice. I like that. Well, for our listeners out there, I think this was chock full of amazing tips and ideas. I would highly recommend it. Take a minute. If this is something you know you need in your business, go back and listen to it again, because I guarantee you probably missed something the first time. So, Elaine, thank you for joining us on Black Belt Selling today.
Thank you. I can give you an email if that's okay.
Please.
Yes, please. GetHelp@truelsocial.com.
Get
help at truelsocial.com. That's TROOL social.com. You heard her here. Well, I would love to say you heard her here first, but you got to hear her here today. So in the meantime, guys, I want to encourage you to go out there, join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Black Belt Selling. Seriously, if I'm still having to tell you to do this, you probably are new. If you aren't new, shame on you. Go join the group. In the meantime, go out there and make it a great week. It's time to stop hitting the target. It's time to smash it.